Hello again, everybody. It's time for another episode of 30 Years Ago this month. It's now February. How do you fucking say that? 2023. So that means we're going to be talking all about February, 1993. 30 years ago this month. Like the title says, as usual, I'm going to be your guide through this wasteland of memories and nostalgia and other nonsense. So thank you once again for joining me. Let's just go ahead and jump right into it. We got a lot of shit to cover, although none of it is in the world of music news. Not really anything of note happened in February of 1993. So let's go ahead and move on over to the music charts. Unfortunately, nothing new here for February when it comes to the number one album in the country, because it is still the soundtrack to the movie The Bodyguard, with music mostly by Whitney Houston. But I have a feeling that next month she's going to get knocked off of that top spot. So let's just wait and see who's it going to be. But let's talk about the top songs. So last month, for the beginning of 1993, I decided to do a little something different, where I actually went to the Hot 100 Top 10 songs of the month, and I went through them and sang a little bit of them. And a few of you seem to really like that. So I don't know if this is some sort of fetish thing, like people that like to be tortured. But either way, I'm happy to oblige. So here we go. The new segment for this part of the show, Old Head sings the top 10. So these are the top 10 songs on the Billboard album charts at the beginning of February 1993. Coming in at number 10, Arrested Development with Mr. Wendell. At number 9, we have the Queen herself, Madonna, with I Can't Help Falling in Love. I fall deeper and deeper the further I go. Oh, that was a little pitchy there, dog. At number 8, we have another fucking legend with Prince and the New Power Generation with All 7 and we'll watch them fall. We'll stand in the way of love and we will smoke them all with that intellect and the savoir-faire. No one in the whole universe will ever compare. I am yours now and you are mine, and together we'll love through all space and time. So goodbye. One day all 7 will die. Coming in at number 7, oh man, this is a good one. Duran Duran with But I Won't Cry for Yesterday. There's an ordinary world. I will learn to survive. Not bad. Number 6, we have one that we talked about last week, which is Rex and Effect with Rump Shaker. Let me interrupt this segment with another segment. Another new feature on the show, which is Old Head reads the lyrics of the classics. Today I'm going to be reading a selection from the classic Rump Shaker by Rex and Effect. Shake it, shake it, shake it. Now shake it. She can spend every birthday butt naked. Body is soft, making me want to squish her. More just than a game, a rumper like a subwoofer. Shake it to the left, shake it to the right. I don't mind sticking it to her every single night. Come on, pass the poom poom, send it to Papa. Shake it, baby, shake it, baby, shake it. Don't stop her. Let me see you do the booty hop. And now, make the booty stop. Now drop and do the booty wop. The way you shaking your reels will appeal is making brotheels up a whole lot of beals. But I ain't into tricking, just a treatin'. And I ain't into treating every trick that I'm meeting? Nah, 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 nah. Yeah, shake it, baby. Shake it now. Shake it like that. Thank you. Coming in at number 5, another holdover from last week from Shanice. I still don't know who that is. And the song is called Saving Forever for You from Beverly Hills 90210. Still don't know that song. Not really interested in learning what that song is. Let's move on. Number 4, another holdover from last week. Boyz II Men with their cover of In the Still of the Night. Not going to sing that because, I don't know, it's not as fun. At number 3, we have Peabo Bryson and Regina Belle. How was this ever in the fucking top 10? A Whole New World, Aladdin's theme from the movie Aladdin. What? Who was listening to that? I'm not even going to sing that. That's not even worth my time. Who was listening to that? Shame on you. The top 2 is, once again, holdovers from last month. But number 2, we got Shy with And If I Ever in Love again, I will be sure that the lady's a friend. And then number 1, Whitney Houston with No, sorry. All right, now all that nonsense is over with. Let's move over to the movies. What were the top movies in February, this is gonna kill me, of 1993. For the first week of February 1993, the movie National Lampoon's Loaded Weapon 1 was the number 1 movie in America. This is a kind of a spoof movie starring Emilio Estevez and Samuel L. Jackson before he was like Samuel L. Jackson. He was, just an actor who needed a job, apparently. I saw that movie in the theater, and I don't think I ever watched it again. But then it got knocked off of its top spot, and for the next 2 weeks, the number 1 movie in America was the movie Groundhog Day, with Bill Murray and somebody else is in it. I don't really remember. I've seen the movie quite a few times. Is it Andie MacDowell? That might be who's in it. She's not very memorable, let's say that. But yeah, funny movie, and I'm sure a lot of you have seen it. But the weird thing is like Groundhog Day, because I'm recording this today on actual Groundhog Day. And every single year I think to myself, what the fuck is Groundhog Day? Because it's like the groundhog somewhere is taken out of a box, and they're like, well, if he sees his shadow, what do you mean if he sees his shadow? How do you know? Does he like tip his hat and be like, saw my shadow? He's like, I don't know why he's British, but like, how do you know he saw anything? Just because there's a shadow doesn't mean a groundhog saw the shadow. The weird ass fucking shit that we do. Why? But anyway, Groundhog Day, great movie. But then it got knocked off of its top spot, and for the next 2 weeks, the number 1 movie in America was the movie Groundhog Day, starring Bill Murray and... Did I already do this? And for the last week of February 1993, the number 1 movie in America was the movie Falling Down with Michael Douglas. And I really liked that movie when it came out. It's been many, many years since I've seen it, and I'm hesitant because I don't know if it's going to have aged very well. But I'll watch it again at some point, and I'll get back to you. All right, now, the releases of February 1993. On the 2nd of February, this album was released. I don't have the vinyl, but I have a cassette. Sarsipius' Ark by Infectious Grooves, the second Infectious Grooves album, which is a side project started by Mike Muir from Suicidal Tendencies. Also has Robert Trujillo on bass, who was at that point in Suicidal Tendencies, but now is in a little band called Metallica. You may have heard of them, but this is a really fun album. I actually like this album more than their debut album. Great funk, metal, just overall fun. Just a fucking blast of an album. Sarsipius' Ark by Infectious Grooves. On the 9th of February, there were 2 albums released, both of which I have no physical copy of whatsoever, but they're both worth talking about. The first one is the album Slip by the band Quicksand, the debut album from Quicksand, and in my opinion, the best album by Quicksand. It is right there down the middle of the kind of shit that if I started a band, which I started many bands, and a lot of them were me trying to do shit like this album, which is like heavy alternative. It's like post-hardcore, but it's a little more accessible. But it's great shit. Great classic 90s post-hardcore, heavy, big fucking rock songs. And it's a great album. Also released on February 9th of 1993, an absolute hip-hop classic. Reachin', A New Refutation of Time and Space by Diggable Planets. The debut album from Diggable Planets, alternative hip-hop group. Really fucking cool. You may know their hit track from around that time, which was called The Rebirth of Slick or Cool Like Dat, which is in parentheses. It's a classic song, classic album, just really cool, vibey hip-hop that is just absolutely enjoyable. So much of that hip-hop from the late 80s and early 90s has just aged remarkably well, and this album is one of those albums. On the 16th of February 1993, the fourth album from the band Poison was released, which is called Native Tongue, and it's their only album that has Richie Kotzen on guitar. For some reason, I always say Ritzy Kotzen when I try to say his name, and that's not right. But yeah, it's the only album with him in the band. He replaced CC DeVille, and just like a lot of the bands from the 80s, in the 90s, they all started to try to get more mature, and this is probably the most mature sounding Poison album. It's the last album they would release in the 90s, and honestly, in my opinion, the last one even worth talking about, but it's got some cool tracks on it. I like it a lot mostly because it's of its time. The early 90s when a lot of these bands were struggling, and they were just trying to stay relevant, and a lot of times they end up making what I think are really entertaining albums, and Native Tongue is one of those. All right, wrapping it up with two albums released on the 23rd of February 1993, and I have both of these motherfuckers on vinyl. First, a lesser known one, Mother Scratcher by the band Ed Hall from my hometown of Austin, Texas. This is, to me, a 90s noise rock classic. I don't know, maybe you could equate them to something like the Melvins, only noisier and a little more experimental, I guess. Although the Melvins had their time. We're not talking about the Melvins. We're talking about Ed Hall. Classic band. They were around in the late 80s, early 90s, and broke up late 90s, but they were from my hometown of Austin, Texas, and this is my favorite album that they put out. I love it. Go check it out. And I think it's on your Spotify's and your Apple Musics and whatnot, but Mother Scratcher by Ed Hall. And last, but absolutely not least, also released on the 23rd, in my opinion, the greatest album released in February of 1993, Independent by Sacred Reich. The third Sacred Reich album, and really their first and only that was put out on Hollywood Records, a major label. I've talked about Sacred Reich a lot on my channel. This is where they went a little bit more straightforward with their sound and the production on here of Dave Jordan. There's a few albums that all came out around the same time, all produced by Dave Jordan, and they all have a really cool sound that no other album had, and Independent is one of those. And I just think this is just chock full of great songs. Independent, the title track, was the first song I ever learned on guitar, way back in 1993. And yeah, whole album's fucking killer. Sacred Reich, one of my favorite bands ever. And this is just one of those albums that I love front to back. And the last album that we will be talking about for February of 1993. But I have one more thing before I let you go that was released in 1993. Whenever these pop up, I'm going to be talking about them. On the 2nd of February 1993, this VHS was released, Video Croissant from Faith No More. And this is a collection of music videos. And, well, there's live stuff from the show Hanging with MTV or something like that. But it's mostly just music videos, a little bit of sort of behind the scenes stuff, but it's mostly videos. But it is an absolute blast if you're a Faith No More fan, and I fucking am. This was released around the time of Angel Dust, which is one of my favorite albums ever. But also, you get all the Chuck Mosley music videos on here too. You get everything up to that point. And yeah, great VHS that was released in February of 1993. And that is it for February, or February of 1993. I'm just ready to get done with this month so I don't have to pronounce it again. Next month is really easy to pronounce. And not only that, it's my birthday month. So you know it's going to be special. All right, until then, take care, and I'll see you all again next month.